All right, guys, the Utah Jazz get a big win in Boston. This is Hanson James, and this is the SLC Dunk post-game show. What a big game for the Utah Jazz. Not going to lie, this one mattered to Jazz fans. It might not matter to Celtics fans. Maybe it does. I'm sure they would have loved to blow the Jazz out by 40 points or something so that they could go on Twitter and say things like, made the right choice. But that's not what happened. The Jazz beat the Celtics. I gotta admit, I'm on like 3 hours sleep in the last 48 hours. I work in marketing. I've been like Star Wars almost killed me with all the events we've been doing. Anyways, I'm here. I am hyped. I'm a little under the weather, but I had to get on here and talk about the Utah Jazz beating the Boston Celtics. So let's start with this game a little bit. So everyone knows the story. The elephant in the room is Gordon Hayward. That's what everyone's thinking about with this game. Whether you're a Boston fan or a Utah fan, you're thinking about Gordon Hayward. And there are statements that want to be made in this game by the players. And you know what? It might be more fans than players, obviously. I think fans, are more hurt about some of these things than the players are. But you know what? Those players want to prove something. And the Jazz came out and played a really good game. Boston came out, and Kyrie Irving is a superstar. That is one of the revelations this season about the Boston Celtics. It was, when they made the trade for Kyrie Irving, that was the big question. Like, how good is this guy? Is he just winning because he's with LeBron? Or is he legitimately a star or superstar? Well, we've now find out that Kyrie Irving is an absolute superstar. He is someone that all teams fear. I feared him. I didn't think the Jazz would win tonight. I mean, Kyrie Irving, and be honest, like Kyrie Irving went off tonight. Kyrie Irving scores 33 points, 44% from the field. He's just a beast. 6 assists. He's been incredible for Boston. He is a legitimate MVP candidate, honestly. He is just proving a lot of people wrong. He's playing enough defense to help Boston have... I don't know what Boston's ranking is right now defensively, but I know for the most part of the season they've been number one. They might still be number one. He's been a big part of that. He's proven a lot of people wrong. So Boston had an amazing offseason, much to the chagrin of Jazz fans, by getting Gordon Hayward, and then the Gordon Hayward... he picked him up in free agency. He chose Boston over Utah, which maybe we'll talk about, or we've talked about before. Who knows? I'm just hyped. But they get Gordon Hayward in free agency for nothing. He chooses to go to Boston over Utah, which in a lot of is really honestly probably the reason they end up getting Kyrie Irving. Not because Kyrie Irving chooses to go there, but because they get Gordon Hayward, then Danny Ainge sees that they've got a legitimate top player that they can go and start competing, and that's what they did. They get Kyrie Irving, who honestly most people weren't sure like how good he could be on his own, because if we're going to be honest, when Kyrie Irving came to the Cavaliers post LeBron leaving for Miami, they were like a bottom rung team in the NBA. They just weren't very good, and then LeBron comes and they become great. And what we're kind of finding out, I think, is that during that time that LeBron came, Kyrie just developed. He had all the talent in the world. We're just, the thing we've got to do with rookies is realize that they get better and better. And what's kind of we found out is that Kyrie's impact is a little bit hidden by playing with the best player in the NBA. So props to Kyrie Irving in Boston. You've got a superstar in Kyrie Irving, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Gordon Hayward when he comes back. Now, it was nice for Jazz fans to see this win. In the first quarter, we see that Ricky Rubio had a phenomenal game. He's been just struggling. Last game against the Bulls, the entire Jazz team struggled to just hit a shot. That was just a frustrating game. They go into Boston and play a lockdown defensive game. I mean, Boston just really struggled to score. Utah did a great job of just, outside of Kyrie Irving, just containing that team and playing a great defensive scheme. The big thing with the Jazz is Rudy Gobert goes down again, and then Derrick Favors goes down again. It's really frustrating how the Jazz just can't have players stay healthy. It's just, apparently they just can't. And it's frustrating as Jazz fans, but I don't know. Eventually, they'll be a healthy team or somewhat healthy team. But the nice thing that the Jazz have is a lot of depth. And I don't think it's a surprise that Ekpe Udoh played a really good game because he's actually had some rest. So fresh legs from Ekpe Udoh, who played great defensively, just really good. And something he was doing at the beginning of the season really well. Still played passable defense for most of the season, up to great defense at times. But tonight, he looked like early season Ekpe Udoh, who just kind of altered and blocked everything. Before the season, Ekpe Udoh had that quote where he said, "I'm the best defensive player in the world." And he kind of looked like it the first part of the season. Right tonight, he looked like it. He had that same defensive dominance that he's had before. He really did a great job. Ekpe Udoh's a big reason the Jazz won tonight. Ricky Rubio finally had a good game. He's been really struggling lately, and it was nice to see Ricky Rubio hit some shots because his percentages have just been pretty bad, and he had the turnovers in Chicago that were rough. Tonight, let's see. Ricky Rubio has 22 points on 10 of 15 shooting. Phenomenal night for Ricky. 5 assists, 7 rebounds. And the big one for Ricky lately has been the turnovers. Tonight, Ricky Rubio, 1 turnover. Not a surprise that it helps us win the game. You can't turn over the ball against good teams like Boston. Just a really good team, really well coached. The other thing in this game that was really interesting for me, and people are talking to me about on Twitter, and Boston fans and Utah fans are kind of clashing about is the Jason Tatum versus Donovan Mitchell matchup. It's something that just you're going to talk about the rest of the year, but tonight I think Donovan Mitchell really proved how good he is. I think Boston fans need to take some time to watch Donovan Mitchell and how good he is. He is the lead dog on this Jazz team in terms of offense. So one reason why I give Donovan Mitchell the nod to Jason Tatum is, and Boston fans, you can say whatever you want. I know you're going to fill this chat with clovers. I don't care. But Donovan Mitchell is the lead dog on this team. Jason Tatum plays off the lead dog. And we saw that game that Kyrie Irving sat. What did Jason Tatum do? He had 4 points. Tonight, the Jazz allowed Kyrie Irving to just be guarded one-on-one, and Kyrie Irving is phenomenal and scored 33 points. But the Jazz were not going to allow other players to beat them. And Jason Tatum scored 7 points on 1 for 6 shooting. And people will say, well, Donovan Mitchell was something like 17 points on 18 shots. Part of that is Donovan's been in a shooting slump since he was in that just incredible 10-game stretch where he looked like honestly an MVP candidate, not just Rookie of the Year. He was averaging 27 points a game, 5 assists plus, and all these things. It was just incredible, that run that Donovan Mitchell has. He is legitimate candidate for Rookie of the Year, and anyone who thinks otherwise needs to start watching more Donovan Mitchell. Tonight, he didn't have the greatest shooting game and still willed the Jazz to a win, especially in the fourth quarter. He hits 2 big threes that just ended it. It was over. The Jazz were, during that 6-game winning streak, when the Jazz were winning, Donovan Mitchell was having his just phenomenal offensive streak. When Donovan offensively is going, this Jazz team is really tough because they play good defense, and then offensively they have a star that opens things up for other players. So really nice to see Donovan Mitchell just proving his worth as just a high-level offensive talent and helping Jazz fans not miss Gordon Hayward all that much. Would it be nice to have Gordon Hayward? Obviously. That's why the Jazz tried to get him. And would the Jazz be better if Donovan Mitchell or if Gordon Hayward was on their team? Yes, they would. He's a great player. He's going to be really good for Boston. It'll be interesting to see how he comes back from his injury. He'll be really good. But Donovan Mitchell's going to be contending for Rookie of the Year this year. He is good from year 1, and he's going to be good for 7 years minimum for the Jazz. So it's exciting for Jazz fans to see this guy just become such a big-time contributor for the Jazz. And it's going to be for a long time. He's a great kid. He's super smart. He studies. He plays hard. Defensively, he's great. Kyrie scores 33 points, but there were some defensive stops that Donovan played that were really, really good. And so it's just exciting to see this guy who competes and plays so hard for the Jazz. Can we give some props to Quinn Snyder? He is not getting enough attention. Quinn Snyder is playing without Dante Exum. He has missed Rudy Gobert for a large part of the season with knee injuries, and now he's going to miss him for another 4 games. Rudy Gobert goes down, and Quinn Snyder promptly goes on a 6-game winning streak. Tonight, he loses Rudy Gobert, Derrick Favors, and finds a way to beat the Boston Celtics by 12. The number 1 team in the East Boston Celtics. Quinn Snyder does not get enough attention as a great coach. He is absolutely phenomenal. He is winning these games with a rookie guard who is learning to play point guard, the hardest position in the NBA to learn, and Donovan Mitchell is learning to play point guard. He has Ricky Rubio, who is at career lows in all of his shooting, and turnovers are at an all-time high. He is playing with injuries to key players in every game he's in. Joe Johnson comes back tonight, has missed almost the entire season, and the first few games he was in was shooting like 1 for 20 or whatever it was. It was just terrible because he had that hurt wrist and couldn't shoot the ball. And Quinn Snyder still has found ways to keep this team at 500. If the Jazz get Dante Exum sometime soon, can make some sort of trade for Derrick Favors, this team gets better. And we're seeing how good this team can be when you give Quinn both a defensive identity as well as a spread floor. He's showing that this team can be really good, and Quinn Snyder can coach the heck out of a team and get victories. And that's kind of what's going to be interesting about this injury situation. Rudy's got a grade 1 MCL strain, so it will be interesting to see how long he's out, but it's going to be at least a week or two, at least. And hopefully Derrick Favors is ready to go tomorrow, but he had 6 stitches, and I don't know if he's on concussion protocol or anything, but he will be playing. I believe the Jazz play tomorrow against the Cavaliers, but the Jazz played really well with Derrick Favors at the center, mostly because just offensively it opened things up. It created spacing and has proven to be a big reason the Jazz need to make some sort of trade to open this floor up, because this team can really score. They've got a rising star in Donovan Mitchell. They have really nice role players in Joe Ingles, Joe Johnson. Jerebko's been really nice. Rodney Hood, Alec Burks, a lot of players on this team that are just really stepping up. And when you have a spread floor and you run the system, it just rolls really nicely. Big, nice win for the Utah Jazz tonight against the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference. No one expected the Jazz to win, including Jazz fans. And they go and get a nice win. It's really nice to go back. And you know who was watching? Gordon Hayward. I'm sorry, Gordon, but you got to watch your old team win on your home floor. That was nice. All right, talk to you later, guys. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Go to SLC Dunk. Read all the articles. Go to SLC Dunk Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. My Twitter is @HansonJames. Go follow me there. Talk to you later.